This is one of my Pentium III computers that I built. And I thought I'd show it to you guys. Alright. Shut up, what? I mean, oh my god. My dogs would have never barked like that. Ever. They would have never barked like that. Okay, so... pull this off here, shall we? Yeah, I put this this Pentium III build in a modern, well, a little bit more modern case. I didn't want it in a beige case. Yeah, I didn't want it in a beige case. Yeah, I didn't want it in a beige case. Okay. So, put this shit like that. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's the front of the case, right there. Let me zoom in, or maybe you can see it better, I don't know. Yeah. Alright, this is my Pentium III build. I put it in a nice, more modern Cooler Master case. I like the blue trim around it, and that's why I named this computer Sapphire. It's got one of the best DVD drives ever produced. This is an older Pioneer DVD drive, 16X. Back when they were made in Japan. This is a really nice DVD drive. It really is. And of course, I got a, I think this is a Mitsumi, brand new, 3.5-inch disk drive. I did recently get a hold of a couple of black faceplate TAG drives, and so I thought I'd install one of them right there. That's what I'm going to do today. So yeah, that's the front of the computer, and that's like the side. We'll take a look inside the computer in more detail in a moment. Okay. And then this here is the back of the computer. What the hell is falling off the roof? Well, this is the fall, so yeah, the wind's starting to pick up, and the leaves are starting to fall, and yeah. Okay, so now we're going to take a look inside that computer. All right, this is the inside of my computer, and I've got a GiM RGB fan on the rear. There's a 120 millimeter RGB fan on the rear, and I also have a 120 millimeter GiM RGB fan on the front. So yeah, so that air flows through like this, you know. This is a 600 megahertz Kitami core Pentium III processor. Now there are two versions of the Pentium III processor. One's the Kitami core, like this one. The other one is the Coppermine core. And that's usually designated with an E at the end of the model number. Okay? You do not want the Coppermine core Pentium III. Any of them. And once you go past 600 megahertz, you'll run into the Coppermine cores, and you don't want those. You want to stick with the Kitami core or the cores that were prior to this core if you want software compatibility with a lot of your older games. This is especially important if you like playing the build engine games like Duke Nukem 3D, Shadow Warrior, Blood, Witch Haven. You get the idea. A 600 MHz Pentium III processor is actually powerful enough to play the more modern games like Serious Sam First Encounter and Serious Sam Second Encounter. So yeah. Now Serious Sam 2, I think, you know, that requires a little bit more beefier processor than that. And so games like that, the newer games, I run on my Windows XP Windows 7 computer that's in my computer room. This motherboard, it is a genuine Intel motherboard. It's got the famous 440BX-2 chipset. I have 3 sticks of 64 megabytes per stick for a total of 192 megabytes, which is plenty for a Pentium III computer. That's plenty. The max is 512 megabytes, which I have in my other Pentium III computer. Here's the GiM RGB controller right here stuck to the top here. And I think it lights up RGB too. I can't remember if this does or not. I have, well, the genuine Pioneer DVD drive right here. I've got a brand new 80 gigabyte, which is period correct, an 80 gigabyte Maxter hard drive. And Seagate now owns Maxter, so I know this is a good quality hard drive. And this is where my disk drive is. I think it's a new Mitsumi drive. One of the things I don't like about this case is how they turned the hard drive bay at a 90 degree. They turned it 90 degrees. I don't know why they did that. You know, they should have left it the other way, because this blocks the airflow from the fan. You know, if they have it turned the other way like it is on the older cases, like my Antique 300 case, then when you slide your hard drives in here, the air from this fan here could blow across those hard drives, keeping them nice and cool. So I don't know why they did it this way. That is so stupid. What I may actually wind up doing, if it's possible to do it, I may actually turn this, because you can unscrew it from here. You can unscrew all that, and this looks like it's complete right here. So I'm thinking about unscrewing this, drilling out the rivets down here, because it looks like it has other holes, and then turning it around like this, and sliding my main hard drive on this top part here, so that the air from this fan can blow across that hard drive to keep it nice and cool. That's one of the things I'm thinking about doing on this case. This is I believe this is a Seasonic power supply, I usually always use Seasonic power supplies in my build, is either Seasonic, actually no it's not. I think this might be a high quality a Cooler Master power supply. I think it's a 500 watt, which is plenty of power for this build, but I think that's a Cooler Master power supply. I bought it brand new for this Cooler Master case. For the graphics card, I have a Diamond Viper V770 graphics card with 32 megabytes of memory. Now you have to be careful because these also came with, 16 megabytes of memory. They also came with 16 megabytes of memory. This is a 32 megabytes of memory card, which is what you want. Okay. Now the Diamond Viper V770 is one of the graphics cards that caused the demise of the 3DFX Voodoo cards, and it made those boards obsolete. Okay? What a lot of you don't understand about the Voodoo 3DFX graphics cards, okay? Because I notice a lot of you install these cards in your computer. You're stupid. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You're puffed up with ego. Oh, look at me. I installed some Voodoo 3DFX cards in my builds. Newsflash, nobody gives a fuck. Okay? And people like me that are in the know, when we watch a video where you're bragging about you installed 3DFX Voodoo cards in your build, we're laughing at you, dumbass. Because I'll tell you something about the Voodoo 3DFX board. Okay? Before early 2000, before 1999, early 2000, graphics cards could only do 2D. They could only do 2D. Okay? But starting in, I say toward the end of 1999, early 2000, graphics cards started doing 3D as well as 2D. And so the Voodoo cards, the 3DFX cards, were no longer needed. Okay? And this is one of the cards that caused the demise of 3DFX, the Voodoo cards. This one right here. This is a very powerful graphics card for a Windows 98 computer. Very powerful. Okay? So with a card like this installed, or any card that's newer than that one, you no longer need the 3DFX Voodoo cards. That's just pure ego. Only stupid people filled with ego install a 3DFX Voodoo card or any of the 3DFX cards into their PC build, their legacy PC build. So just don't do it. Because people like me that are in the know, we're laughing at you, dumbass. We really are. We're laughing at you. Do you see a Voodoo 3DFX card in this build? Fuck no. You know why? Because I know what the fuck I'm doing. That's why. Okay? If you're building a Pentium III class computer and your motherboard only supports AGP 1X or 2X, like this board here, I highly recommend that you get the Diamond Viper V770 graphics card with 32 megabytes of video memory. This is a very strong card for this build. Okay? Now, for sound, okay, I do not recommend using a PCI sound card. A lot of you're using PCI like Sound Blaster Live cards or whatever. In your Pentium III builds, don't do that. Okay? The Sound Blaster Live cards are better suited for a Windows XP time period build, because those are the games that use the benefits of the Sound Blaster Live. Whereas a Pentium II, Pentium III class build, this is mainly for the newer DOS games, the Windows games, and the sound card that I highly recommend for a Pentium II, Pentium III build is either the Sound Blaster AWE32 card, the 3900 series, or a Sound Blaster AWE64 like this one here. Or the best sound card ever made, the best ISA sound card ever produced, was a Sound Blaster AWE64 Gold. And that's the sound card that I have in Helen, my beige Pentium III tower computer, which I will show sometime next year. But yeah, this is an AWE64, Sound Blaster AWE64 sound card. And I've got the audio cable coming from the CD plugging directly into the sound card, because a lot of your game CDs from this time period, they have music and sounds that can only be heard because they're on the CD in the form of wave audio. So if you're using a SATA IDE, which does not have the CD audio coming out, then you won't hear any of that beautiful music. You will not hear any of that sounds. So on a build like this, you always want to go with an IDE, CD-ROM drive or DVD drive, and I recommend Pioneer. They make the best optical drives, bar none. They make the best optical drives. And this way you'll be able to hook up the audio cable going into your Sound Blaster card, like this. But yeah, this is my Pentium III build. I want to show it to you guys. I'm very proud of this build. I love my RGB bling that I added to this build. It's a really nice build. Yeah. It's getting very hard to find cases anymore that have your 5 1/4 inch and 3 1/2 inch drive bays. I mean, oh my God, man. Yeah. And I found out why that is. Recently, I found out that CD-ROM drives and DVD-ROM drives are no longer being produced. The industry wants to do away with all physical media, forcing everyone to buy space, file space, like from the cloud or other such places where you can store your files online. No, I don't like that. I like storing my files on backup hard drives and on DVD or Blu-ray discs. Blu-ray discs are the best, for archival purposes, because a Blu-ray disc will last for at least 100 years. Yes, you heard that right. Yeah, if you want to back up your files, especially like your YouTube videos or things like that, you want to back them up onto Blu-ray discs. Yeah. Now, for a build like this, a DVD drive is fine, because you're mainly going to be messing around with CDs, maybe early DVDs. Most of your games from this time period are on CD. So, yeah. Now, since this also does DOS, it has DOS 7.0, which is part of Windows 98, then, yeah, you can also run games that are on 3 1/2 inch disc and 5 1/4 inch disc. So next, I'm going to install a 5 1/4 inch disk drive, a TAC drive, into this computer. That's coming up next. Okay, I decided not to add the 5 1/4 inch drive to this system because I got to thinking about it. 3 1/2 inch discs, yeah, I do use those, but most of the games that I have on 5 1/4 inch discs are like on 360K discs, and they're designed to run on the real older systems, like your 286, 386, 486 class computers. So I don't think the 5 1/4 inch drive would get much use in a system like this. But I am going to pull the graphics card out and show it to you in more detail. So let me get a screwdriver. Okay. So let me pull this. Let me touch something made out of metal. I want to discharge my body of any kind of static electricity. Okay. Alright, so let's pull this out. Oh yeah. So, it looks like this is, okay, the board, this board looks like it's universal. It looks like the board is universal. Yeah, it looks like the board is universal because it has the slot on both ends. So this can be used in all the different AGP slots. So yeah, that's good. This is a really nice card, the Diamond Viper V770 with 32 megabytes of video memory. Now it does have this port here. That is where you can, I mean, you can use, if you wanted to, you can use a Voodoo 3D FX board with this card. It works really well with this board. But like I said, why would you? This board is actually more powerful than the Voodoo 3D FX cards. So yeah, it's just ego. Or in case, you know, the only thing that those boards are really good for is if you wanted to run your games in glide mode. But why would you do that when you have OpenGL and other hardware modes? You know, you don't really need the Voodoo cards anymore. They're just obsolete. They became obsolete in around 2000s when they became obsolete. So yeah, only stupid people puffed up with ego still install those boards. Well, install those boards in their legacy PCs. Yeah, because when you have a card like this, the Voodoo 3D FX cards are no longer needed or required. Okay? They're no longer needed or required. So, let's put this back in here and plug it back in. Plug it back in, bitch. Yep, plug it in, baby. Plug it in, plug it in. Hans, shut the fuck up. Okay. Okay. So that board's in there, so make sure it's in there real nice. Okay. You know what? I'll have to verify it. This AGP slot might be 4X. I have to verify. When it has the notch toward the rear of the computer, I can't remember if that's AGP 1X, 2X, or if that's AGP 4X. I have to do some research on that. Yeah. So now let's take a look at one of the best sound cards that you can install in your PC. And that is the Sound Blaster AUS 64. Very nice sound card. Especially if you run a lot of, DOS games. So yeah. Oh, come on out of there. Oh my God, why isn't that one come out? Why was that stuck in there like that? Why is that stuck in there like that? Anyway, there is the beautiful Sound Blaster AUS 64 sound card. This is one of the best ISA sound cards ever produced. This is one of the best. Has onboard wavetable and memory, and you can add more memory. There's memory boards you could plug into there to increase your memory if you want to use your own custom sound fonts. That's what that's for. And then there's your connections on the back right there. Okay. Oh yeah, me. There it is, the Sound Blaster Oz 64. Yeah, this is a really nice build. It really is. It's a very nice build. Okay, let me make sure it's in there good. Yeah, it's in there. Okay. Let me use the full slide number 2 just to snug it. You don't want to over tighten. You can strip that because it's just aluminum. So yeah, you can strip that real easy if you over tighten it. Okay, Sound Blaster Oz 64 is plugged in. Let me plug the CD audio cable back in. It only goes in one way. And it pops in so you hear that clip. Oh, come on, get in there. Oh, there you are. You're in there, bitch. Alrighty. It's in there. Yeah, it's in there. Want to be able to hear my CD audio. Make sure this shit's all plugged in. Yeah. Okay. So let me slide the covers on. And yeah, slide the covers on. Is it still recording? Well, let me do it like that so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah. I think I did a little bit of cable management back here. Just a little bit. Finger tighten these only. Never use a screwdriver on them. And I see so many of you dumbasses on YouTube tighten these up with a screwdriver. Don't do it. Finger tighten only. Okay, just like that. Alrighty. Still underneath the camera. Yeah, it's still underneath the camera. So, alright. Okay. Come on, get in there. Okay. There she is. Isn't she beautiful? Yeah, I outdid myself when I made this computer. She's just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the box that the motherboard came in, and then after that we're going to go inside my computer room and I'm going to show you how I have Windows 98 set up and the games I like to play, and yeah, I'll show you what's on the hard drive. So that's all coming up next. All right, this here is the box that motherboard came in. As you can see, it's a genuine Intel SE440BX-2 motherboard for Intel Pentium III processors. It will also work, of course, with the Pentium II processors. This motherboard supports both 66 MHz frontside bus and the new 100 MHz system bus. So it'll support all the Pentium III processors with the the 100 MHz frontside bus. So yeah, this is the chipset that everyone raves about. Everyone likes that chipset. So, and I found this on eBay. I say about 10 or 15 years ago. A guy was selling. He had two of these, and he was selling them for like, I don't know, $30 a piece. And of course, I bought one of them. Now I'm kicking myself in the butt. I should have bought both of them. But yeah, I didn't realize how desirable this chipset is. And this is not just the 440BX chipset. Okay, it is the 440BX-2 chipset. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, I want to show you the box that the motherboard came in. Okay, now I'm going to show you something very interesting. Okay, you want to pay attention to what I'm saying as I'm showing you this. You want to pay attention to what I'm saying to you. Okay. This is a Pentium II processor, 300 megahertz. Now, there's two versions of the Pentium II 300 megahertz processor. The first one has the unlocked multiplier, like this one, and that's the one that you want. And then the second version of this that came out later, it has the locked multiplier. Now, the main advantage of the second one is that it's made out of a different manufacturing process, so it doesn't generate it does not dissipate as much heat as this one. But this is the one that you want to get right here. So, take it out of the box. And what I did on this one, okay, what I did on this one, okay, now normally your Pentium II processors, they have a plastic back piece and a plastic front piece, and then they have those damn stupid heat sinks that like screw in with the screws. I never like those. I never like those. I've always preferred the way the heat sinks go on the Pentium 3s, where it has these brass things that go through it and you slide this thing to lock it in place. So what I did, because I wanted the high quality heatsink and fan for the Pentium 3 on this 300 megahertz Pentium 2, because I know how these run hot, right? Okay, I bought a 400 megahertz Pentium 3 processor, and I carefully removed the board from this plastic piece here. And then I took the 300 megahertz Pentium 2 processor and removed it from its case, and that was a real pain in the ass to do, let me tell you. Without damaging this board, oh yeah, it was a real pain in the ass to remove this board from, its case. But the holes line up. it has the same hole spacing as the Pentium III. Okay, and then what I did was I took this 300 megahertz Pentium II PCB and I put it onto this Pentium III back piece. It fits perfectly. And this way I was able to mount the higher quality Pentium III coolers onto this 300 megahertz Pentium II processor, so it stays nice and cool. What's nice about this one is that because it has an unlocked multiplier, not only can you run this processor at its full rated speed of 300 megahertz, but you can also run this processor at 266 megahertz, 200 megahertz, I think it's like 166 megahertz, all the way down to like, I think it's like 144 megahertz. So you can play the games that are more speed sensitive, you know, by lowering the speed of this processor. And you do that from within your BIOS ROM. But I think there's also programs that you can run within Windows to adjust the speed of an unlocked multiplier processor like this one. You can also turn the cache on and off, and by doing that, and you lower the speed all the way down, you turn this into basically a 486 processor for the real old DOS games. So this is a very versatile processor. This 300 megahertz Pentium II processor with the unlocked multiplier, I do recommend this. If you're the type of person that likes to play a lot of the old DOS games, as well as the new stuff, I highly recommend this processor here. The only reason why I removed this from my Pentium III build and installed the 600 megahertz Pentium III, right, with a locked multiplier, is because I prefer to play the newer DOS games and the Windows games that require 500 megahertz, 600 megahertz. You know, like the build engine games, they run better on the faster processors. And that's what I mainly use that Pentium III computer for. And plus for video editing, I used to have like a VCR hooked up. I have a video capture board plugged in, which I'll probably do that again. And that was how I was able to copy VHS tapes to digital format on my hard drive. Yeah, and in order to keep the audio from skipping, you need that faster processor to do that. And so that's why I removed this processor and plugged in the 600 megahertz Pentium III processor. But yeah, if you're mainly into DOS games and things like that, okay, in the early Windows games, this is the processor I highly recommend. A Pentium II processor, 300 megahertz with the unlocked multiplier. This is what I recommend right here. Okay, so now I'm going to invite you guys to come into my computer room, and I will show you what's on the hard drive, what kind of software I like to run, you know, with that computer. Okay, this is my Windows 98 computer, Sapphire, set up in my computer room. Now, I don't know how well the beautiful GiM RGB fans are going to show up in the video. They're probably going to be overly bright, and therefore they're not going to be clear. But let me tell you, in person, they are absolutely beautiful. They really are beautiful. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. You can see them a little bit better. It's probably going to be overly bright, but yeah, probably going to be overly bright. But yeah, and there is my computer. Yeah, and I recently built this custom-made computer desk hutch / storage shelf unit. You know, of course, there's my Doom poster right there, and my, well, I got some stuff sitting right there. Those will be in future videos. But see, I made, okay, that's where I store a lot of my rare Commodore computer stuff. And yeah, and then there's my where I have my software in the original boxes. I don't know how well you can see all that. I am going to be doing a video on these two books that come with CDs and stuff in a future episode. I studied these two thick manuals here, or books right here, back in the early 90s to learn how to draw maps for Doom and Doom 2 and Heretic and Hexen and all that, you know. And it came with, each one came with a CD that has the software, the WattEd software, and I think it's DHack Ed software. They have the software that you need for creating maps for those PC games, you know. So I'm going to show you these books in more detail and the software that came with them. I'm actually going to load up. One of the reasons why I decided to set up this computer is because I want to show you guys how to use WattEd. You know, the program that we used way back in the 90s. Now we're spoiled because we have programs like, you know, Doom Builder, Doom Builder 2, GZ Doom Builder, Doom Builder 64. So it's a lot easier to create maps for Doom today than it was back then. But I do want to do several videos showing you the old way that us map creators created content, you know, new content for PC games. So yeah, it's one of the reasons why I want to set up this computer. And there is the software that I use on this computer. Yeah, and I got the beautiful Xfinity speakers, Keytronic keyboard and mouse. Keytronic has been making keyboards for a very long time. I remember them from back in the, I think, early 70s, I mean, excuse me, late 70s, early 80s. I think they started with, they were making the same type of mechanical style keyboards that IBM made, you know. But they've always made great keyboards. I mean, the keyboards that feel really good. So, yeah. And a guy was selling a case of those, 10 of them to the case for like $88, and I snatched up that case. So I have 9 more of them in the case in my storage unit. It's a keyboard and mouse combo, and those are really good quality keyboards and mice. They really are. Of course, that monitor that I showed, I did an unboxing and a review of that monitor recently. So if you have not seen that video, I recommend that you do. You watch that video, because that's a really good monitor. I usually use this monitor because it's a 5:4 aspect ratio monitor. I usually use it. It's better suited for a Windows XP, Windows 7 computer. So I'm probably going to wind up putting that back on my Windows XP, Windows 7 computer behind me. Because next year I'm planning on putting Sapphire away and hooking up Helen, my beautiful beige Pentium III tower that I built way back in 2000. It was 25 years ago. And when I built her, I used nothing but the best quality parts from that time period. So yeah, I'm going to hook up NEC monitor. I mean, everything's beige. Even the speakers are beige. The keyboard is a genuine IBM keyboard, genuine Microsoft mouse, and everything is beige. Even the switch, the power switch box that the monitor, the CRT monitor or the LCD will sit on top of, you know, it's all beige. And it looks really good with the blue that I chose to paint the wood, you know. See how I painted the wood? So, yeah. But yeah, I plan on, my whole computer room will eventually have these desks. Even down there, I haven't painted that bottom shelf yet, but I will. I got a 1/4-inch oak strip that needs to be glued on and nailed onto the front to hide the edge of the plywood, just like I did there. It makes the edge of the plywood look real nice, you know. So I still got to do that on that one. Then I have to putty up the wood, certain place where it needs to be puttied, sanded. Then I can put 2 light coats of paint, and that shelf will be done. But it's a great shelf to put like disc banks. That's where I have CDs and 5 1/4-inch discs. One of my PlayStation 2s are down there. And of course, I've got some IBM DOS manuals or DOS down there. Magazine racks fit really well down there. So yeah, it's a really practical piece of furniture, because not only am I making full use of my horizontal space, but I'm also making use of my vertical space. See? Because you got a computer desk with storage shelves down below. You got a hutch, like to have your software in the original boxes or books or whatever up there. And you got, that's 9 cubic feet of storage space above there. So you can store stuff, you know. So yeah, it makes very efficient use of your space. Now, what I learned when I used to manage retail when I was a young man, I used to be an assistant manager. Well, actually, I was a department manager for the Woolco department store. Those were like stores that were very similar to Kmart. We were part of the Woolworth company. And what I learned from managing retail is that you're paying for, okay, you have to keep track of every cubic inch of retail space, because every month, every cubic inch of retail space is costing you money. And every item that you put on the sales floor occupies a certain amount of space, which means that that item is costing you money each month. And this is the reason why stores have sales, because we need to get rid of that stock before it sits on the floor for so long that we actually start losing money on it. And that's the main reason why stores have sales, because the longer an item sits on the sales floor, the more money that item costs us, because we're paying rent for every cubic inch. Okay? And the less money we'll make on that item. Well, the same thing is true when you're like renting an apartment or you're buying a house. Okay, every cubic inch, or in this case, every cubic foot, okay, is costing you money each month. So why not make full use of as much of that vertical space as you can? I mean, we all make, pretty good use of our horizontal space, right? But we we waste all this vertical space, and it's costing you money. Why not use that vertical space? And so I'm planning on redoing my whole computer room early next year. These will be along each wall, and I'll be able to set up a separate computer on each computer desk, on each one of these. And I'll have storage space up above. I'll have a hutch there for software in the original boxes. I'll have a shelf down there for disc banks and magazine racks, But yeah, here's my Halloween Amiga 2000. Got some stuff over there. Now it's kind of dusty, but because I got a fan, the damn ceiling fan, and it creates a lot of dust. But at the end of this month, September, I'm going to turn off that ceiling fan. I'm going to clean up everything in here, and I'm going to dust the furniture, give my Amiga 2000, all of my computer equipment a good sponge bath, wipe off all the dust, and then I'm going to set up that Amiga 2000, and I'm going to be doing a lot of software, Amiga software videos this fall and this winter. I'm going to try to do at least 2 every week. Yes, you heard that right. Okay, 2 per week. But eventually, I'm going to build a shelf just like that one. That one's 3 feet long, 2 foot by 3 foot. I'm going to build one for my Amiga 2000 here. It's going to be 2 foot by 4 foot long. I need the extra foot in length, because that big girl though, she requires her space. She requires her room, So when I build her custom-made computer desk, right, it's going to be 4 feet long by 2 feet deep. And it'll match that one. They'll match perfectly. And she'll have 12 cubic feet of storage space. See, all that space is wasted right there? That's all wasted space. Where if you build something like that, then you get to utilize all that vertical space. You see? So that's what I'm going to do early next year. I'm going to build the rest of those. Okay. This is my Windows 98 desktop. As a backdrop, I have Intel Inside Pentium III. I use WinZip. I use Adobe Acrobat 6.0. This is the full program that's actually used to create the PDF files. Of course, Windows Explorer. Cool Edit Pro, which is a professional audio editing program. And I'm going to do at least 1 or 2 videos showing you guys how to use that program. And then Thumbs Plus, this is version 6. I've been using Thumbs Plus for a very long time. I think the very first time I started using Thumbs Plus was version 4. And on my office computer, Windows 10 computer, I think I'm up to like version 10 or 11. And I pay for this program. It's a really nice picture and graphics viewing and manipulation program. And I do plan on doing at least 1 or 2 videos just on this software, showing you how to use it. And of course, Yuli DVD Movie Factory. This program was included with the older Pioneer drives. It's one of the best programs you can get for working with CDs and DVDs, you know. You can even use it to create your own DVD movies. Oh yeah, movie discs. Oh yeah. Yeah. These are the games I like to play. Shadow Warrior, Blood, get off there. Quake 2, Voyager Elite Force Hollow Match. I love playing against the bots. Unreal, Expendable, and of course Duke Nukem 3D and Doom 2 and other games, you know, other DOS games that run well on a Pentium 600 megahertz Pentium 3 computer, you know. So let's take a look at some of these games. The first one I'm going to load up is Quake 2. Let's see what that looks like. This is a 19-inch 5:4 aspect ratio monitor with a native screen resolution of 1280 by 1024. So yeah, we're going to take a look at what Quake 2 looks like on a more modern display. Is it loading? Line up icons. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. I got the volume turned down on the speakers, so yeah. Okay, so video. Default OpenGL. We're going to change the resolution to no, we don't want that. You can tell that Quake 2 is designed for a 4:3 aspect ratio monitor. It will not recognize a 5:4 aspect ratio monitor. As soon as you try to, it doesn't even come up. It doesn't even have 1280 by 1024. And if you select that, it'll automatically turn full screen off. It'll turn it to no. So yeah, I have to run it in 1024 by 768. So it's not going to look as clear as it would if you ran the game on this monitor's native screen resolution. And that's one of the benefits of using a CRT monitor. Then you don't have to worry about this. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Like I said, it would look better if I could set this game at this monitor's native screen resolution. It would look a lot better. But it doesn't look too bad. 1024 by 768. Okay, so let's quit. Yeah. Okay, the next game we're going to look at is, let's see, I'm thinking, let me put the CD. Now Shadow Warrior, yeah, Shadow Warrior and Blood and Unreal, these are some of the games that actually use, they have audio, like music and audio files on the actual CD itself. For instance, Shadow Warrior or Blood, if you don't have the CD in the drive, it's going to play the music in MIDI format. But if it senses that you have the actual disc like this, okay, if it senses that, including, you know, Duke Nukem Atomic Edition, and of course, you know, Shadow Warrior, then it will play the music off the CD. And it sounds a lot better. I'm going to have to wrap it up because this video is getting way too long. I was hoping I could show you some of my favorite games and stuff, you know, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Hans George Campbell, and until next time.